midnight approached on Friday evening, my husband and I were on an airplane descending over Connecticut on our way to landing at Bradley Airport. We had been in the sky. We had left Sacramento earlier in the day to fly to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta back to Connecticut. An uneventful trip, although the ride was a bit bumpy since there was precipitation in Atlanta. The skies were cloudy and not a lot of lights above the clouds, but as we descended over Connecticut, the land below was simply beautiful with the lights. I think I saw some Christmas lights among all the other lights on the highways and homes. And certainly it was good to know that those runway lights were there, and I was quite a bit more relaxed when the wheels were down and we were heading to the gate. It is good to be home, but the journey was one filled with joy and love and laughter, an opportunity to be together with my children and my grandchildren for a wonderful Christmas. We come to a new year, 2015, and my wishes for this congregation and for each of you are that this might be the happiest and most joy-filled, hope-filled, peace-filled new year. We have the opportunity in this first Sunday of January to linger a little bit with the Christmas story, at least that portion of it dealing with the Magi, the wise men, the kings, before we begin to then move on into the year and its work and its challenges and all that it will bring for us in the months ahead. Howard Thurman, who was a theologian and poet, wrote a poem called The Work of Christmas that speaks of that movement between letting the celebration of Christmas be behind us and moving into what Christmas means in our hearts. And he says, when the work of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flocks, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among the people, to make music in the heart. The work of Christmas, what it means, as we were discussing with the confirmation class earlier this morning, to be the body of Christ, to let the light of the Christ child shine in our lives. This wonderful story from Matthew's Gospel is full of intriguing themes. One of the things I was doing to bide time on my flight cross-country was reading a book on my Kindle called Lost Kingdoms, dealing with some of the minority religions of the Middle East, religions that are at this point in danger of being lost in that area where they first emerged. Religions like the Yazidis and the Mandeans and the Zoroastrians, religions that watched the heavens for signs and portents, religions that may have had roots in this story, for we do not know too much about these wise men, these magi. What drew them? We know they watched the sky. And when they saw this confluence, this star, this light in the heavens that rose in a particular way, they knew that something significant had happened, and they set out on a journey. So this passage from Matthew has within it wonderful themes of light, of a star that leads away in the dark, of journey and what it means to not only set out on a journey, but to let that journey take one to the very heart of the divine. And it also has a theme in it of fear, for Herod was fearful when he realized, the king of the Jews, this child they were seeking, this Messiah, was not in his royal palace. And so he sought to undo what God had done by trying to have the wise men take him to the child for evil purpose. But joy and love was able to be much stronger than fear and hate. I've chosen to call this morning's communion meditation a light to guide the way, because I thought about that star that guided the wise men to the Christ child, and the lights that guide us on the journey of our lives. One of the few things that the writers of both Matthew and Luke agree on is on the emphasis of journey. The birth stories are all about people making trips, Mary and Joseph journeying from Nazareth to Bethlehem, the shepherds traveling from the fields to the manger, guided by the angelic host, the light in the heavens, and the best known, longest, and most unlikely, the journey of the wise men, not Christians, not Jews, journeying from their homeland in the east. Some have suggested it may have been as far away as Persia or China or southern Arabia to Palestine. And we might ask what started them on the way. Matthew implies that they began because of an unexplainable longing, a recognition that something had happened or was happening, and that they needed to go, to follow a light, to follow that light without knowing exactly where it would take them. Scholars have suggested that, as I said, they studied the heavens, and that they were familiar with all of the sacred texts, including the sacred texts of the Jewish people. But at some moment, they made a decision to pack their bags, to map a course, to follow that star that rose, and to journey wherever that star would take them. They took the route that led them to the center of power, to Jerusalem, to the palace of Herod. But it was there that they found that it wasn't Jerusalem that would be the place where this Christ child would be found, not that center of economic and political and power in Jerusalem, but a simple village, King David's village, Bethlehem. They then made that additional journey. Most of us, I would say, oftentimes, we're very practical people. We would be, I think, sometimes reluctant to put away everything in our lives to follow a star. To say, I had those plans and there are things that I needed to do this month and in the next couple of months, but there's a star in the sky and I need to follow it. But opportunities, God's calling in our lives, sometimes is a call that we answer. We don't know exactly where it comes from or what it will mean for us, but we say yes. There is a saying